Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about the brand new sneak peeks. We're going to talk about the new code that just released, which I will show you guys real quick before we discuss any of the actual like crazy stuff that is happening with Devas creation, which is kind of like what I expected to happen with the game and the stuff that's happened. So let me give you guys a recap with everything that has happened for new players and old players alike. So with the new stuff that did happen, which was the duplication glitches, the duplication scripts, the brand new like farming scripts and everything like that. People have pretty much ruined the economy of the overworld, and it's been incredibly hard to pretty much get into the game without something skyrocketing in price or like people enjoying the game anymore. Like people are starting to dip out because the last bit of content that was supposed to be repeatable was PvP related, which almost nobody really cared about due to the fact that the game is incredibly unbalanced. That's another factor about the game that no one really talks about as much because people are afraid of criticism in that regard. But I can tell you from somebody who has done pretty much every single bit of content for this game and has recorded that content that the game is incredibly unbalanced. They made plenty of changes 3 days before the game's release to make sure that they slowed down your progression. They have done so much to pretty much stunt you guys as much as possible. But with that being the case, it ended up ruining the end game for everybody that was involved and also in the regards of PvP and everything. So that was very sad to see. But with that being the case, we just have to like kind of rock with it from now, especially if people want to still be able to care about the game, want to still be able to keep going. The developers need to change the old content and they need to work on the new content at the same time. I don't know how they expect to do that with the rate that power is, you know, not as dynamic as they'd like it to be. It's very cut and dry, a lot of the content in the game. So let's talk about what they're trying to do to change it. And one of those things that they are trying to do to change it is I'll bring this up over here in the sneak section. They do talk about this, which is where they bring up the brand new outfits. Which, if I'm going to just talk about the outfits for even a second, it looks like something that is like, okay, we've seen the dungeon. A lot of people have seen the dungeon and everything like that. We've seen the sneaks. It's like it feels completely different from what this is. You know what I mean? The dungeon feels very OG-esque dungeon crawler like, and this armor does not show that. It really just shows something more. Uh, the armor that they are making for this update and for the dungeon update just feels very how do you say, over the top compared to what the dungeon we are getting. It doesn't match. It's like if I went to Wrath of the Lich King and I said, okay, give me all of that beautiful, like, frost armor and put it in a desert temple. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. And I think it's because this armor feels more complicated and it just feels more unique compared to the dungeon that we are getting. That doesn't like feel like this. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. If you guys do not agree with me, or if you guys do agree with me, let me know down below. If you guys think I'm being too harsh about the outfits that are coming out, I do think that the outfits look kind of cool. They look very unique in the aspect of, you know, just stylistic approach, which is looks a little oriental and it also looks a little bit um, futuristic at the same time, like kind of like Clockwork Oriental meets each other, which I think is very unique, and I like that a lot. And I can't wait to get these armors. We still have not seen the light armor set, which is probably what's been delaying the release because I know that the testers, as of this moment today on Monday, October the 14th, that testers are working on the game right now and they are kind of like pushing the content and everyone's got their plug on the inside. They're using other YouTubers to like kind of show sneaks of the inside dungeon, but there's also a media ban, so I don't know what they're kind of doing with that. I think it's because those guys are a lot bigger in the YouTube space, so they expect them to like pull views, but I don't think that that kind of works for like the Divas of Creation community, just due to the fact that yes, they are bigger YouTubers, but they don't do the same type of content as Divas of Creation YouTubers. It's not the same feel. Like Divas of Creation doesn't feel like Roblox. That's the reason why it's low key dying right now, because people are leaving Divas of Creation to go play Roblox games that are more simulator like. So I mean that is what it is. But let's go ahead and talk about one of the factors that they did bring up, which was here's the first look at the two unique armor sets for heavy and robe tier. You will be able to craft these resources only using the resources found in the new dungeons. I have a problem with this, but I also want to talk about the good part about this. First, let's talk about the good part. The good part about this is that with this content, it's going to be just weak enough to where you can still beat the content with purple gear. You're not going to end up doing the solo with purple gear, but I think it's very clear that they want purple and legendaries to be the determining factor on if you're going to progress in the game entirely. The other problem I have with this is what the heck are we going to do after we get this? Because this armor is very cool, but people are not excited to grind the dungeon content if there's no reason for them to actually push dungeon content at all, such as we don't even have a raid in the game yet. We don't even have a world boss. We don't have a reason to become stronger. The only reason to become stronger is to play the newest version of the content. And even at that, no one's going to be doing PvP because PvP is boring and it's one sided as hell. And no one cares about it. So this is like just it's just the way it is. And I hope that they decide to nerf early game content, reset it to the way that it originally was in the beta, such as making sure that blue content is being pushed with the blue items back to level 20, because I think it's very clear that people are starting to struggle a lot more since they decided to actually buff the bosses and stuff like that and try to make the content a lot harder, pretty much kneecapping the new players, stopping them from being able to even join us in the end game. And this content that feels mid to end game is probably just going to end up killing the game even further unless the game actually drops something that actually has replayability, not just the dungeons alone. So, I mean, those are my thoughts on it. I think that's pretty much it. You guys have already seen the code. I'll drop it down below. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to ring that bell, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts and concerns about the game. We'll just see what happens with the future of the game and stuff like that. It's not looking incredibly uh, good, but I feel like if they do focus more on the early game content in the future, which obviously they don't really care about my opinion. I've tried, trust me. I'm not even a YouTuber in this freaking thing. Like, I'm not even considered a YouTuber for them, so it is what it is. Uh, yeah. Take it easy and peace.